We now come to the debate on support for the hospitality industry throughout the Covid-19 pandemic. Elaine Saxby to move.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I beg to move that this House has considered support for the hospitality industry throughout the Covid-19 pandemic. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Backbench Business Committee for granting this debate and the Honourable Member for Brentford and Isleworth for co-sponsoring. Without a doubt, the hospitality sector has been one of the hardest hit throughout the ongoing Covid-19 pandemic and will have been shut for 10 out of 14 months when it eventually reopens. And I certainly do not believe many of us foresaw that a year ago when we entered the first lockdown. Support for the sector is extensive across this House, as shown by the number of contributors today, this debate being almost as booked up as I understand much of the hospitality sector itself is when allowed to reopen. With this in mind, I will keep my own remarks brief and not take interventions to enable as many colleagues as possible to speak. In 2019, the hospitality sector contributed £59.3 billion in gross value added to the UK economy, around 3% of total UK economic output. And at the start of last year, there were almost 250,000 hospitality businesses in the UK. The sector is vital to my North Devon constituency, which is proud to boast 105 pubs, with almost 10% of all businesses being in the hospitality sector. The latest research by UK Hospitality shows that the sector will have lost £86 billion in revenue by the end of March 2021, down 68% on pre-pandemic. It would indeed have been more, were it not for the unprecedented support packages given by the Chancellor, combined with the innovation shown by the sector in adapting their businesses to become Covid compliant, increase outdoor capacity and become takeouts. Our North Devon Take Out to Help Out competition has seen thousands of residents vote to support their favourite takeout that has helped them through lockdown. And many congratulations to the winner, Nart Napa Thai Kitchen in Linton. Yeah. The sector is also racked with coronavirus-related debt, an estimated £2 billion in rent debt and £6 billion in loans and other finance, which makes the recovery that bit more challenging. As someone who ran a debt-financed small business for 15 years, I know the toll this type of balance sheet can take on small and medium businesses, of which this sector has so many, and the extra pressure it puts on achieving profitability, particularly for seasonal businesses that are so dependent on their summers to see them through the leaner winter months. Even assuming the roadmap stays on track, the sector cannot fully reopen until June the 21st. Some 60% of pubs may not reopen on April the 12th, despite the government relaxing regulations to enable them to trade outdoors more easily. This will mean that the support will taper off before there is a full return to profitability, which is forecast to take at least 6 months after the restrictions are fully removed. In short, the government's support may be ending too early relative to its lockdown lifting roadmap. This summer will no doubt be busy for UK hospitality, and we know pubs are one of the top 3 reasons tourists visit the UK, and so their survival is also linked to our inbound tourism and its associated economic benefits. But as we move into winter, wet-led pubs in particular are very dependent on their locals returning to the bar, which we know did not happen to the same historic levels last winter. Going back to the pub is a much easier ask than so many of the others we have endured over the last year. But have our behaviours fundamentally changed during the pandemic? I hope not. As in many rural villages, in constituencies like mine, the pub is the heart and soul of the village. And we need to ensure they're able to return to their former vibrancy at last orders. Calls are increasing for a review of beer duty to target support into our pubs, bars and clubs, which could be balanced with duty rises in the off-trade, given the ever-growing debt the country is in. The Chancellor has shown throughout this pandemic how quickly he and his colleagues in the Treasury can pivot and adapt to create new lifelines for businesses. And while I pay tribute to his excellent work, perhaps the job is not yet done for hospitality. I do believe a draft beer duty would be targeted quickly action support and could play a crucial role in stopping so many of our vibrant pubs and other hospitality businesses from going under later in the year. Our pubs provide a safer environment for alcohol consumption than elsewhere, and we should do all we can to encourage people to return safely as soon as possible. There are now 600,000 fewer jobs in the sector than before Covid hit our shores, despite the unprecedented support of furlough. As hospitality businesses look to reopen, I hope they will engage with the new government packages to get people back into work, such as the Kickstart scheme, and reach out to their local Job Centre Plus. I know in rural North Devon, hospitality businesses have not always engaged with their local job centre, with local ads or posters in the window historically sufficing. But a wide range of highly qualified people are now unfortunately looking for work, and vacancies may well be filled more rapidly through this route than those pre-pandemic. There are other areas within the broader hospitality sector whose pandemic has also been problematic, such as our contract caterers and wholesalers. These businesses were not required to close, but their trade has been limited mostly to the public sector, and they unfortunately missed out on many grant payments. Breweries, especially local microbreweries such as GT Ales in Rafton, despite reinventing themselves for home delivery, have had a challenging time. The wedding industry and its supply chain, quite rightly, have been repeatedly highlighted as a sector in need, the important big day being intricately linked with hospitality. It is estimated that over 200,000 weddings have been either cancelled or postponed since the first lockdown, and that the sector to date has lost at least £6.4 billion, a figure that continues to rise. It is fair to say that the hospitality sector has received an unprecedented level of support across VAT reductions, business rate holidays, grants, loans, the job retention scheme, alcohol rates frozen, and a wealth of other measures. I have been in contact with my local and the national hospitality sector throughout this pandemic, and I very much hope that dialogue will continue as we emerge and build back better. The Chancellor said he would do whatever it takes, and indeed he has. But to prevent our vital and much-loved hospitality sector suffering from long Covid, they may just need a little more creative support in the coming months.